disengaged from that. And that's what all of these are, is being disengaging, detaching from the initial response long enough, however long it takes, to be able to have the mind see. Today's video is the promised follow-up to yesterday's video, which was on balance. And today we're going to talk about 2 simple tools to overcome our weaknesses, make better choices, and grow in self-control. First, I'll tell you about them. I will give you some examples, and there are different kinds of approaches for different kinds of examples. And once you get the idea, I think you'll be able to kind of work it from there in whatever your situation is. However, if you have any questions of any specific situations that you're wondering how to handle better, let me know in the comments down below. Maybe I can do a future video on that. Or if it's a simple answer, I can just answer you in the comments. Okay, so the 2 tools are the pause and the alternative to the knee-jerk reaction. Now, the pause is very, very, very important. It is so underrated. A very wise woman told me about this like 40 years ago. What she said was that nobody needs to get an immediate response from you at any given moment, okay? So the reality is that there are almost no situations in life in which an immediate response is actually necessary. And in fact, in most cases, an immediate response is not going to yield you your best choice. This is also going to help you to detach from internal urges and external pressures. It's going to give you that moment when something happens that causes an initial reaction within you, to take that moment to just stop. So the purpose of stopping in that moment, and by the way, a pause can be as long as you want it to be, and that's in your control. You get to decide how long a pause is. And the purpose is to be able to take that moment, or hour, or day, or week, or forever, to stop, let your internal reactions calm down, connect with your clear thinking, which is your intellect, to make good choices in your responses. There are different situations that require different kinds of responses to help you get that pause. And that's where I say the alternative to the knee-jerk reaction. I'll give some examples. Okay, so I'm going to talk about a few different types of situations that can come up. And they all involve our internal reactions to a situation. And in some cases, and potentially all, they can originate externally to us. So I'm going to start with the one that I think relates most to the video I did yesterday, for those people who are coming because of that. And that has to do with when people are asking you something that requires you to make a decision in order to respond. Now, in order to be able to pause in a situation like that, you know, they're standing there looking at you, maybe asking you a question, would you do this for me, whatever it is. Or can I have this, mom, whatever it is. And again, it's that pause. It's that stopping before you respond, being calm, realizing, remember, very important fact is that no one gets to tell you that you have to respond right now. So if you're not ready to respond, don't respond, okay? That's why it's called a pause. You don't do anything, all right? It's extremely important. You don't have to do anything. And in fact, just pausing and looking at someone sometimes will remind them that you do not have to answer the question immediately, and that you do, as a human being, need time to respond. So the alternative response to saying yes when you really mean no, or getting mad when somebody's asking for something that you haven't had a chance to, really think about, or whatever, is to have some practiced responses that you would have if you needed to be able to say no to someone in a nice way, because you don't want to just be like, no, right? That's why people say yes, because they don't want to say no. They don't want to hurt people's feelings. But there are lots of good ways to say no. I'll just give you a few examples, and you can, come up with your own, Google it. I'll bet you there are some really good ones out there. Here's one. I'm really not looking for a project. I can see why you'd want to do that. Or for kids, that sounds like a fun idea. Maybe we can find a way for you to earn the money for that. Or, let me think about that. Simple. Okay? The simpler, the better. Okay? And the most important thing to remember when it comes to saying no is don't say, no, not today, maybe tomorrow, inadvertently, which is what we often do when we say, oh, I can't do that today, or, oh, I'm so busy right now. Don't make an excuse. If you really never, ever, ever want to do something, you can say something like, one of these other things I just said. Okay, so there's that. So pause and alternatives. You have some planned alternatives. So that's in a situation where somebody is asking something of you. The next one will be about anger, and the next one after that will be about food. So the second one is going to be when somebody says something that makes you mad, rather than unloading your anger upon that person or whatever it is, just stop. Okay? You may feel steam coming out of your ears. You may feel like your hair is standing up on your head. You may feel like every fiber of your being is telling you that you need to set the record straight right now. But the reality is, again, there is nothing, almost nothing on this planet that has to be handled immediately. And nothing is going to be handled well when you're angry, unless you're actually wanting to fight a predator physically. Okay? When we are angry, or in any other emotional state. So this is applicable to everything. Anxiety, you name it. Anxiety is usually why we say yes to things that are no. But any kind of an emotional state is messing with our ability to connect with our intellect once again. So stop and remember that your goal here is not to offend the other person. It's not to harm the other person. Even if they just offended you, we're here to be good people, and we need to have control over ourselves. And all we have to do is stop. Just don't do anything. It's the most effective thing that you can do in that moment when you're not calm. So calm and clarity is the whole point of the pause. And it can take you 1 minute, or it can take you an hour, or however long. You decide. You're in control of the pause. And the thing with anger is that, yes, there may be something that needs to be communicated to this person, but you're not going to communicate it effectively right now. And if you need to leave the area in order to regain your calm, you need to do that. However, when we are separating from someone due to our anger, when we are separating ourselves from another person in order for ourselves to calm down, what we need to do is we need to do it in a kind way. No door slamming, no ghosting someone. What we do is we say, I'm going to need some time to calm down and think about that. Or if you're going to walk out the door, you can say, I'll be back. I just need some time to cool off. Whatever it is, letting the other person know what's happening as you go and get your space. Okay, and you very well may need to have a conversation with this person when you are calm. And if you're struggling with how to communicate things with someone, if you've been having problems communicating with a person for a while, or if in general you would just want to get better at communicating, there's a very simple book called Nonviolent Communication. I think it's called Nonviolent Communication, A Language for Living or Life. I forget, but it's by Marshall Rosenberg. And I recommend it to everyone. I've given it as gifts. It helps us to communicate with other people in such a way that they can understand us And also by learning about this, it gives you a way to kind of interpret when other people are getting emotional, to be able to ask questions in order to get to the heart of what it is that they actually need and what's going on. So it creates better empathy. It's not about manipulating or controlling anyone. We always have a choice of whether or not, how we respond to another person's needs. But this just helps us to understand each other's needs better. It's less confusing because we're all different, and yet we all have the same basic repertoire of emotions and really the basic same needs. So it's just a matter of knowing how to communicate them, knowing the difference between a feeling word and a thinking word. So just read the book. It's really good. It's very simple, lots of examples. Okay, and the last one I'm going to talk about as an example that's useful, that the pause and alternatives are useful for, is food. Now, there are a million different other possible things in life that, pull at us or push at us or, whatever it is that creates any kind of internal response of that, that makes us want to react in a certain way. Food is one that we all, partake in on a daily basis. Sometimes food is one of the most difficult ones when you're a little bit hungry, or there's some really good food around, other people are enjoying it, and it kind of feels like, well, if they're doing it, it's okay. A trigger food. Okay, so here I am, I'm in a situation, I'm hungry, I've opened the refrigerator, I see something that I really want. I've been trying to lose weight and I really want that thing that I just saw, and my whole internal system is saying, yes, yes, let's have it. We must have it. Nothing can stop us. But then we have this miraculous gift called the pause. And we pause and we close the refrigerator and we stop and we think. And we go back, we try to calm back down again. What does my body actually need? And it probably won't take us long to actually think it up. However, it does take a little while for our body to catch up with that. Our body is still in the refrigerator. And, so our brain, needs to disengage from that. And that's what all of these are, is being disengaging, detaching from the initial response long enough, however long it takes, to be able to have the mind see that, I actually really, really do love salad. And that's actually exactly what my body needs right now. And, it doesn't have to be salad, but a healthy choice. And it doesn't have to be a terrible choice either. And this is why I say the alternatives to the knee-jerk responses are they need to be planned. They don't need to be 100% planned, but we need to develop a repertoire of them. So if the first time you try this, you're like, I can't think of anything else I want. Okay, understandable. However, next time you're eating something good that's healthy, remember what it was and start getting used to the fact that in that moment when what you really, really want is some sugar-laden thing or pizza or whatever, even though you are, trying not to eat those kinds of things right now, that once you start eating the healthy thing and it's delicious and good for you, you're going to feel so good about it. It does take some time to just disengage from that, but you can do it. So just believe, that, understanding that you can disengage from that. You have to give yourself enough time. You do not have to immediately stick something in your mouth. As much as you think you do, you're actually going to be better off if you don't. And that's the power of the pause. So just stop. Don't do anything till you know you're doing the right thing. And this is where we come back to choosing the greater good. And in all of these things, we're choosing the greater good. If we can say no kindly to someone, we're not going to build up resentments to that person. If we can catch ourselves before we hurt the person that we love that's standing in front of us, or our neighbor, or whoever it is who just said something that was really, awful for us in some way. If we can take that time and, be able to have a calm, clear response, we're going to do so much better in those relationships. And when it comes to food, we face it day in, day out. Everywhere we go, people are pulling out a pizza and popping out the beer cans and, you name it. And we need the power of that tool. So pause and know your alternatives. And if you have any questions or you want any more ideas for any particular kinds of situations, I talk to a lot of people about a lot of different kinds of situations. And so some of them might be very familiar to me. I might be able to help. All right. So I'd love to hear any kind of comments below. Click like if you like this kind of information, and subscribe. It's free. I would love to have you join me. All right. Hope you're having a great day. Bye-bye.